Hey everybody, it's Sunday afternoon. We had stake conference today and then naps and lunch and stuff like that, and it's a little bit later than I thought it would be. It's a little after 4. But Rebecca and I are finally getting around to doing the next sections of the quilt, and it is so much easier with the evenly cut squares from Grandma Center. Right now Rebecca is determining our groups of 4, and I've done the first line. So we'll do 4 of those and then sew them together into a 4x4 super square like before, and do that over and over again until we've used them all up. As my mom would say, that is just super fun. The colors are just all over the place. I love it. That's going to make a really good looking quilt. We will iron that super square out and get started on the next one.
So I thought today we'd do something a little different and call it Storytime Sunday. One of the things that I love to do when I meet people and they're married is to ask them how they met. So today for Storytime Sunday, we're gonna each take our turn telling you how we met each other. And
it's the same story. Why do we need to say it twice?
Because we have 2 different versions.
Oh, I'll just interrupt you where you're wrong.
Oh, okay. Okay, so John's a squirmy wormy.
Johnny wants to be daddy?
Yeah.
Okay, put your milk down for a second.
So 13 years ago, Joe and I, we were both teachers, and we taught in different towns. We'd never met each other, and I was at church and I heard that these brothers had moved. What did you do?
That was one of your pieces of popcorn.
These brothers had moved into our church congregation, our ward.
I just bought a house in that town, and my brother came to move in.
So anyway, all the girls were talking that there were these brothers that were new, and I never ever sat up at the front.
And why wouldn't they? Look at this.
Of course.
Oh yeah.
Sat up in the front in our sacrament meeting, and they were on the second row. And I always kind of sat toward the back so I could kind of scope everything out.
Underachiever.
No, it's not underachiever. It's probably because I got there almost just right on time. So anyway, I got there and I noticed that there was I could tell that these 2 brothers were up there. And I was like, yeah, I am gonna go sit by them. So in my braveness, I guess, I walked right up and I sat down right next to this guy right here. And there was some space between us, but I leaned over, introduced myself, shook his hand, and I said, hey, I'm Angie. He shook my hand and said, hey. Down.
I have no idea what happened. I don't remember this.
And I was like, okay, well then I guess that about does it. That's kind of a rude guy. And he didn't talk to me the rest of the time.
It was church. I was in the front row. What was I supposed to do? Talk to her through the entire meeting?
Well, all he did was say hi, and then he looked down. So
you wouldn't guess from the fact that we're doing a vlog, but I'm kind of a shy person. I blame it on shyness. She says I was rude. I don't know if she's changed her mind in the last 13 years or if she still thinks I was rude.
I haven't really analyzed it. I haven't had time to.
What do you mean you haven't analyzed it? You're analyzing it right now.
Okay, so anyway, all the girls in my ward thought that these 2 brothers were so cute, and I definitely know that there were girls totally interested in Joe here. And so I just kind of left it at that. I remember that Joe spoke in church and he used really big words. And I thought, whoa.
Well, I was trying to be impressive.
This guy uses really big words. He must think he's really smart.
Which is a nice way of her saying that she thought I was stuck up.
No, because I was interested in you. I thought you were good looking, and
which is all that really matters.
You didn't let me finish.
I mean,
and I thought,
I guess I can put up with his big words and his snottiness as long as he's cute.
No, I just wanted him to pay attention to me, so I had a little bit of an
was paying attention to her though, because I usually had to pass the sacrament because there we go. I usually had to pass the sacrament because I was one of the first ones there every week, and I always made sure that I sat in the right spot. Those of you who are LDS know how this works. I would sit in the right spot on the bench with the people passing the sacrament, so I would pass to her, because then I could smile and I could see her, because she always sat in the back.
At the very back. So anyway, I noticed that when we'd go to Sunday school, that he'd sit in the front row again. So I started getting there first so that he would sit next to me in the front row. And then he was just really friendly. And
because I'm a friendly guy, I am a nice guy.
Then he got made my home teacher, which is a person who comes and visits you during the month to make sure you're doing okay. And so
I have my brother to thank for that. My brother was in the Elders Quorum presidency, who made the assignments. I don't think he knew or thought about it. He just did it with the other guys. But I was a very good home teacher.
Well, so the first time he came to my house, he came with his brother, and I was actually getting ready to go on a date. I have no idea who it was with. I just know. Do you remember there's this thing called the Revo Styler? It was like on one of those nighttime infomercials. Well,
she would buy that stuff.
Well, I had ordered the
Even after we got married, she would buy that stuff every once. You know, like one of those ab cruncher things where you... We had one of those for... Yes, you did. We had one of those for years in Saginaw. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I was determined to use it just to get some use out of this ridiculous thing that we'd spent $49.95 on.
Okay, well, anyway. Yeah. The Revo Styler. It got stuck.
Weird.
It got stuck in
my... A high-quality piece of merchandise like that?
It got stuck in my hair, and it was stuck, and I was trying to get it out, and then my mom came and told me that my home teachers were there. And so I remember yanking this thing and losing
Pretty sure we had an appointment.
half my hair. Yeah, but I had a date too. Anyway, and then I went in and sat down, and they visited with me, and Joe and I hit it off, and we just talked and talked and talked and talked, and his poor brother was sitting there really bored, I think. Sorry, Ben. And so we were just talking, but at the same time, I knew that I had this date coming. And so, anyway, he left, and a couple minutes later, this guy came in, and I wasn't even interested in the guy anymore. I was like, well, forget whoever he was. And so that was the end of that. But then, a few weeks later, I remember I was sitting out on the front porch reading Nancy Drew.
Well, we were in the same school district, and so it was really easy to email each other.
We hadn't done that yet.
Yeah. Oh, never mind.
Oh, first, sitting out there, and I remember there's this thing called Friends of Scouting, where you fill up a sack.
I don't think it exists outside of Utah.
I don't know. Anyway, he brought me a sack to fill up canned food.
We were given this stuff, and we were supposed to take it to our home teacher people. So I did. I was just doing my job.
And that just started us talking and talking and talking. And then, like you said, we worked in the same school district, and we figured out that we did work in the same school district, different towns, but that we knew each other's email addresses. So we just started emailing back and forth to each other.
I probably wasn't a very good school teacher at the time.
Because you just emailed. And back then you didn't have a cell phone.
My computer would chime. Yeah, my computer would chime. Oh, just a minute, guys. I eventually filled my kids in, and they found out that I was dating somebody, and every time my email would chime. Well, of course they got into it, because that meant they didn't have to do any work for a few seconds. Mr. Center, she wrote to you again. So
I didn't tell my first graders.
I was teaching 7th grade at the time.
I just let my first graders silent read a little bit extra longer.
Read.
Oh, yeah, they were like that.
Anyway. Well, they were taught by the best.
So I knew that I really liked him, and I dated. We were 26 at this time. Were we 26?
Yes, we were 26.
26 at the time, and so
we're 39 now.
They were thinking I was like
24. You look so good for being 26, 13 years ago. I'm sure they couldn't put that together.
Okay, so my friend, she said to me, well, why don't you ask him? I said, oh, I've been going to all these activities, and I've seen that there's all these other girls that like him and are interested in him, No, I'm not gonna do that. No, I'm not gonna do that.
It's okay, just sit with Daddy.
It was lunchtime, I remember, and we were in my
You
classroom.
want to get down?
She said,
What do you do?
you like to go to, there's this thing called Swiss Days over Labor Day, and I always like to go to it. It's kind of like a craft fair, craft show. And she said, well, you should ask him to it. And I thought, okay, I'll do it. I was shaking, I was so nervous, and I typed an email to him, and I said, hey, how about, there's this thing that I love to go to every year. Would you like to go with me? It'd be really fun. No big deal though. And he wrote back, and he said that he couldn't go because he had to go to this
I was a musician,
storytelling festival.
and I played every year at the Timpanogos Storytelling Festival. So those of you in Utah, I used to be a performer at the Timpanogos Storytelling Festival every year.
But then he said, but would you like to go, that was on Saturday. I had invited him on Saturday, and he said, but would you like to go with me to this place called Thanksgiving Point on Monday for lunch and to walk around the gardens? And of course, when I got that message, my friend was there, and I remember we both looked at each other, just a minute. We both looked at each other, we got really excited, and then I screamed and squealed just like a little girl. I was so excited that he said no, but he also invited me out on a date. So we went that next Monday. He came over and he picked me up. You got butter on your shirt. And we went to this really nice restaurant.
Still going?
Is it not even recording?
We've been going for 14 minutes.
We went to this
Wrap this up, would you, dear?
We went, we ate, we talked for like 4 hours, walked around about everything from, I don't know, from A to Z, including zits, I remember. We were comfortable, we had a great time, and then he dropped me off, and then he said, hey, do you want me to come pick you up in a few hours, and we can go do this other thing? And I said, sure, and I was super excited, and I remember my family was gone, and I got ready again, because that's what you do when you go on a date, you get ready. So I got ready a second time, and we went on 2 dates on our first day. And we'll tell you more about our story next time.
Oh, fireworks.
Yes, there were fireworks.
That's John's game.
Okay, well that's all for Sunday story time.
Storytelling Sunday, or Sunday story time, or
I don't know, but
what do we call it?
whatever we called it, that's it for this week. We'll come back next week with another story about us or something.
Well, we're ending the day on memory lane. Jacob and Rebecca are watching some old videos, well, from almost exactly a year ago, while they're finishing up their suppers. What do you think, John?
Do you think we'll get copyrighted on our own video?
Nope.
That'll be helpful.
We're just playing that money to ourselves.
Have a good night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
John, say bye.